Yes, you call it live, boo. Let's talk about it. Because I just got through recording my video about the girl with the hair from H&M. So it's time to talk about Fantasia. Let's talk about it. So if anybody has, who watched the Breakfast Club? Who watched the Breakfast Club? Did any of y'all watch the Breakfast Club? It would be a good idea to put my headphones in so I can be able to what's my name. Justin, don't go in too bad. Being the pick me is. Okay. Okay, let me see. I don't necessarily want to hear myself talk, so mute that. I'm going to pull up the Breakfast Club interview. I might even take my headphones out. Let me take my headphones out. I want y'all to hear it. I want y'all to hear it. Yeah, so I want y'all, does anybody know the exact moment where she broke up?
So why are you talking about it, Justin? At least watch it.
Does anybody have that?
At least watch it. I at least watched that part. God damn. A little bit before and a little bit after, just so you can have some context.
It's backlash for saying women need to submit to their man. Submit. Yes. Let's look it up. Where is it at? Okay, here it is.
Justin's ass is crazy.
Okay, I found the clip from her and her husband. How do we become members? It's actually in the bio somewhere. You can find it in the bio. I'll put the link up. It's in the bio though. You go in the description, not the bio. If you go into the description, you'll be able to see it.
Packing them in, it's gone.
Yes, it's good to see you too. So did anybody see it? Okay.
Did you?
So
Did you see it?
Let's play it so we can hear it, so we can all watch.
But I really want to hear what Justin has to say. I can't listen to Fantasia too long.
Girl, I got both of them playing. Girl, she over here talking with her husband. We don't want to see that.
Not yet. Oh, let me take my little edible now so I can deal with these ignorant ass people. I'm gonna turn it down. I'm gonna wait till he gets to talking to see what the hell he's talking about. I guess it's a live reaction. But
girl, okay, turn it off. Okay, here it is. Okay, let's watch it. Let's listen to it.
Fall back and be the queen. Let your man lead. On what? Where are we going, first of all? It's a generational curse. You using the Bible to tell people they trapped in a generational curse. This shit writes itself. Okay, I'm about to put on my glasses.
Why is this shit so low? I can barely hear it.
Packing them in, gone. Hey.
Trying to be the man.
Women are trying to be the man. Don't nobody want, if you, listen, nobody wants to be a man. Nobody. That's why you always focus on trans women instead of trans men. You worried about people wanting to be women. You ain't worried about people who want, don't nobody want to be a man. All y'all got is what?
Okay,
what?
So Fantasia is basically saying that there is a generational thing where you need, like, the new generation, I'm guessing, are letting...
Don't guess, honey. Say exactly. Talk about what she said. Because everybody's gonna come up with their idea.
So she got a lot of backlash for that. And this was her response with her husband. Let me play that too, girl. I hope this shit is loud because I'm about to go in.
Packing them in, it's gone.
Girl, what is going on with my volume? Let me see what is going on, y'all.
They said Kaya went off on Bobby Lights.
Girl, what the hell was that shit loud?
That she went off on Bobby Lights. I guess because he was defending his cousin and said something about Kaya, and Kaya just went in. And then this is the thing. I think when the best roasters are people who have nothing to lose and everything to gain by their craft. You know, I haven't listened to what she said to him, but I know she said something about him having AIDS. here we are again with these undertones of homophobia. Because why would you blurt out and say that just this gay man has AIDS? Like, that doesn't, you just don't do stuff like that. But that's who Kaya is. That's who she is. That's who she is. Okay, let's see what he say.
Talking about submitting to her man.
I can't see shit.
Submit to her man. That's the reason why a lot of these women are probably having these like problems.
Because they're not submitting to men. That's why all y'all bitches is single. Because you're not submitting. When you find a good man, you want to be the man. What? How I sound talking like that?
Let me just say this. Fantasia comes from a time where she comes from, not even a time. Fantasia is very much following the Bible. She's very much a quote-unquote Christian woman.
And right, using the Bible to talk about generational curses.
Why is the word submit coming off as negative?
Because it is negative. Nobody submits to nobody.
Men.
Nobody. And why does there have to be a hierarchy in my relationship? Why do you have to be above me? Why does it have to be that because you have a penis, you're better equipped at leading than I would? That's the reason why Hillary Clinton lost. Because nobody believes that a woman can lead. Because y'all in this bullshit, you don't realize how detrimental it is to you as a society to assume just because a man has an elongated clitoris and an extra amount of testosterone that he's more equipped to lead. It don't have nothing to do with that. And for you to just say, because I'm a woman, that means because you classify yourself, you have a vagina and 2 breasts, that all of a sudden you are not fit to lead. You trying to be a man if you're a leader? You don't make any sense. And look where has it got us. And men have ruined this world. They ain't leading shit. They've ruined it. Ruined it. There's no power in that. I'm the neck. Get the fuck out. He'll chop your goddamn, twist your neck off.
She just said that's the issue. She just said that that's the issue, that folks are not submitting. Women are not submitting. That's what the issue is.
That's why y'all single, because y'all not submitting.
Try to clear it up now, but that's what she said.
Exactly. Say exactly what she said. Don't say what you think she meant. Say what the fuck she said. Let's talk about what she said.
About this, and I also watch the other black women talk about this. First of all, I'm not taking any dates. Not too many black women need to be out here taking dating advice from Fantasia.
None.
Fantasia is the same
but it's
person,
not.
No tea, no shade. She was the same person that was married, got engaged and married to a man who was working at T-Mobile and ended up marrying him. I think she married him and divorced him, and then he ended up going back with his wife or something. She had a child. What was his name? Antoine Cook. Fantasia Barrino can't give me any goddamn marriage advice.
But it's not just Fantasia. There are a lot of women who think like that. Who think like, oh, you're single. In other words, meaning you're single not by choice. If you didn't have any leadership qualities, if you decided to just let a man lead, you wouldn't be single anymore. That is the answer to your problem. Just let the man just let the man lead. For what?
I want black women to let that go. I want y'all to let that go. I want y'all, because that shit ain't got y'all anywhere. Please stop. I'm telling you right now, we allow men way too much, and that shit sounds exactly like patriarchy. That's all it is. That's all it is. You telling me the only reason why I should lead this household is because I am a man. That's it. But these men be making horrible ass decisions. Look what Cynthia did to them. Look what Peter did to Cynthia's credit. Look what Peter did. He led.
Peter led. She let Peter lead, and look what he did. Let Cecil lead. Look what he did. Come on.
And it's what everybody wants.
That's a lie. That's a lie from the seventh corner of hell. And I'm tired of everybody saying, well, what she meant was, well, bitch, if she meant it, that's what the fuck she would have said. There.
That shit ain't.
That's not cute.
No, you can't speak of what a woman should do. I'm damn sure. Girl, this is what's so funny. You telling me I can't speak of what women should do.
But I'm a man.
You're giving me the power as
to do that.
To be able to speak over you.
Thank you.
This conversation according to your argument. According to
I'm a leader.
I am the head, so you need to sit down and shut up and listen to me.
Exactly.
Thank
you.
You don't have no say in anything. I'm the man.
I'm the man.
You see how that shit works? So I can tell you what you can and cannot do. All that shit is garbage. And I'm saying, if you want to submit, there's no
That's
problem.
a wrong word.
But the idea that a woman needs to submit to a man is crazy, it's asinine, and it does not work. It has not worked.
It has not worked. When has it worked? When has it worked?
But not one situation is going to work
as
for everybody.
Collectively.
Like, everybody's definition of marriage is different. What has been the issue over time?
And this idea that everybody has a different okay. Everybody can define their marriage how they see fit, right? Right. Everybody defines their relationship how they see fit. But you're not going to take a word and say it means something other than what the society has defined it to be. All of us are in agreement, and it's in the fucking dictionary, that the definition of submit is to submit to an authority. An authority. That means someone who is over you. Someone who is over you. So you're saying just because this man has a penis, he has the birthright to be over you, to tell you what to do, for you to listen to him, for you to let him lead. And if you don't, you're going to stay single. That's the reason why, because you won't let a man lead. You're going to stay single. And because you want to be the man, you want to be the king, and you need to be the queen, and let him lead. I'm the neck, and no, what did she say? I'm the neck, and he's the head. You get your damn neck snapped like a fucking chicken, girl. That's what the fuck, like that cute, a little cutesy analogy for allowing, like when that analogy was used in the movie Big Fat Greek Wedding, and when everyone started using it, that's not no old wives' tale. That's not no African proverb. That's some shit off of the movies, okay? Some make-believe shit. Number 2, in the context of which she said it, it was the fact that you are allowing a man to believe that he's leading. So you're, for his ego, pacifying him and allowing him to believe, okay, baby, you're leading. You're the head. I'm the neck. I make the head turn. Girl, that's what the context was. So even in that, even in saying that, that's you dumbing yourself down or dimming yourself or repressing yourself so that a man can feel like he's leading. Again, you're placating to his ego. You're placating to his his fragility and his masculinity. You're placating to all of that. If you are in a relationship where you have to let somebody feel or make them feel like they're doing something and you are really in fact doing it, it's the same thing. Either you're going to let him lead because you believe he's a leader, or you're going to let him believe that he's a leader so that you can stroke his ego. Both are detrimental. You need to let these men know you are not equipped to lead until you display the behaviors. It's a job. It's a job. You're not, like I said, like I always say, you're not going to hire someone to do a job that they are not qualified for. 1, you are not going to go into business, into a marriage, with someone who you would not work with. This is not somebody you would work with, because now you're starting a business. And now you're saying, because you're the man, this is our business, I'm putting you ahead of our business. Simply because you walk through the door and you have a penis. Thank you, you're a man. Let's go. Let's run this business. Let's run this marriage like a business, how it's supposed to be ran. You've been hired solely on your gender. You've been hired to lead this business because of your gender. That's it. No other qualifications. But now y'all want to add, well, he has to be worthy to. Okay, so then what the fuck does that look like? Because how does a man deem himself worthy? What, doing a bunch of shit for you, buying shit for you? You know, like, there are all of these definitions that people have on how they define how they're navigating through their relationship. When you're saying the word submit, it doesn't apply, should not apply to a human. And it just shouldn't. It should not apply to a human submitting to another human, giving authority to another person. That doesn't make sense. If we're going to run this relay and I'm going to put you at the end because your strength is coming in at the end, let's go. I'm going to submit to that. I'm going to submit to you pulling in the rear because I know you come in the last stretch. I'm going to submit to you being first because I know you take off faster than everybody. That's not submission. That's collaboration to get to an objective or a goal. The idea of submit, and even to use that word so that you can make somebody feel like they're doing something, and if you feel like they're really not doing it, but let me just tell him, honey, let him think that he's running this show and he's not. That's even worse. Like, that's worse. Now you lying to somebody, making them feel like they're doing something and they're not even qualified to do it. But because you want a man, you want to make this man feel like he's the leader, so you placate and do all this other bullshit so he can be the leader. It makes no sense. No sense whatsoever.
How a relationship is supposed to be. That shit ain't been working. And I love how Kim Foster said that when we get me and
my thing is this. When you say that, I forgot what I was gonna say. Let me see if he jogs my memory.
It's almost as men get to choose. Listen to how many times we've heard men talk about why they have fallen in love with their wives and why they are in relationships.
Okay, here. I want to talk about how people like to, when people talk like this, they like to say, well, our grandmothers and grandfathers, they stayed married for this long, it worked for them and this and that. You have a different, this is the reason why you can't stick on like holy text and kind of apply it to today's world, because men and women in the times where our grandparents are still together 67 years, 50 something years, the women literally, and depending on the kind of woman, a lot of the women, the majority of the women were dependent on men for their survival. Women are not dependent upon men for their survival anymore. They're not. So they have education, they have careers, they have their own business, they're entrepreneurs. They're all of these things where the need for a man, because he had to get the job, because they weren't giving women jobs, it was a whole different environment. And there are some women who did not go get an education, who did not go get a career, who stayed at home, who didn't have an education to leave. And then when the man started to become abusive and to wield his patriarchy, then, or his power within that you have been given him in patriarchy, to say, I can abuse you, I can do these things for you, and you're gonna have to do all of these things for me. You know why? Because you don't have nowhere to go. You don't have an education, you don't have resources, you don't have nowhere to go. Where are you gonna go where you could survive? You can't get a job, you can't go to school, you don't have no money to go to school. Now you're stuck in this marriage, and then now your grandkids believe, oh, my grandparents stayed together all these years, they made it work and this and that. No, your grandparents and your grandmother was being abused. Whether it was physically, verbally, financially, emotionally, being cheated on, men having families around the corner, down the street, kids playing with their cousins. They don't even know who these people are. This is what was happening. Yes, it's good and bad and everything. But as a whole, no one is allowing men to come in and say, I'm going to have to depend on you for my survival while you abuse me. No, that's not happening. That's not happening. That's not. Now, I've seen both sides. I've seen my grandmother, or my maternal grandmother, and my grandfather in what seemed to me, a functioning relationship. Healthy. The only thing I've always remember my grandmother saying, she was Aquarius, my grandfather's a Capricorn. She used to say my grandfather would never apologize. But he, when I look at them, he led in a way that they knew each other's strengths. My grandfather knew his strengths. My grandmother knew her strengths. And as a matter of fact, my grandfather cooked and my grandmother paid the bills. Do you understand? My grandfather kept the house, outside of the house, inside of the house, cooked, cleaned, did maintenance, painted houses, all that shit. My grandmother did all the shit that was her strength. I did not ever see him telling her, you got to do this because you a woman, or her placating to his ego. I never saw that. I never saw her belittle him. I never saw her emasculate him. I never saw him defeminize her. I never saw that. Now, on the other hand, on my paternal side, I saw a man and a woman in a relationship for a long time. I heard my grandmother talk about my grandfather in ways that if she had the resources and the means in this day and age, she wouldn't have stayed with him. But she didn't have the resources and the means to get up and get away from somebody who wasn't always the nicest person to her, who abused her, who gambled, who was an alcoholic. I've heard all of these conversations, but I would brag on my grandparents being married 60-something years. Yes, they were married 60-something years, but what kind of fucking hell did my grandmother have to go through? And on my maternal side, my grandmother divorced my grandfather and remarried my grandfather. Do you understand? My mother's father, she divorced my mother's father and married my grandfather, my aunt's father. That's my grandfather who raised me, who I have an altar up for him. That's when I look at the epitome of a man, and a man who is a quiet storm, that is my grandfather, Capricorn. That is my grandfather. Did whatever he had to do, was a veteran, all of that shit. Was never trying to wield his power, never trying to be like, oh, I need to do this, I need to be the man, you need to make me feel like a man. None of that. I saw a balance. On the other end, my grandmother, even though my grandfather was telling her, was doing all these things to her in their past, I never saw my grandfather make his plate. I never saw, she very much fell into gender roles. My grandmother and my mom, my maternal grandmother, stayed in books, stayed in the news, was doing crossword. Always, I remember her as a little girl, always doing crossword puzzles. I can call my grandmother, and I'd be somewhere else and ask her for a clue on a crossword puzzle. Her vocabulary was crazy. But regular job, regular working lady, worked for the post office, all that. Grandfather was a city worker. They had their life. I never saw anything that looked like my grandmother was being abused by my grandfather. I never saw that. But on my father's side, I heard my grandmother tell stories about how abusive my grandfather was. But guess what? She never fell out of her role. She was always, to the day he died, always serving him. Did it do her any good? I don't know. But what I saw was my father repeat those things and then try to teach those misogynistic ways to me. In my house, on my paternal side, the women, all of the women have been in an abusive relationship with their husbands. All of them. Grandmother, aunt, all her sisters, but guess what? All in abusive relationships with men they allowed to lead, and they all stay making plates, doing things, staying in the kitchen, cleaning up. The men don't have to lift a goddamn finger. I seen it. I have seen it, and I've also seen the other side where the woman is leading the home, the man is also leading the home. I've seen both. And I would always reject, when I would see my grandmother and my aunt and my cousin in the kitchen cooking and all the men sitting around, I would sit right there with the men. I'm not doing this shit. Y'all not gonna do this shit, and y'all not gonna keep teaching the women in this family not to be the leaders of this family when the men have been wholly abusive every single time to every single one of the women in here. Every single one. Father bringing side chicks around, just men being abusive from the beginning to the end, and the women still falling in line in their gender roles. That's not gonna be me. I watched it. I even watched my cousin do the same thing. The men get to sit down. My grandfather had Alzheimer's. My grandmother was, I want to say, how many years younger than my grandfather? Few years. He's Scorpio. She's a Aries. He passed away. Both of my maternal grandparents passed away. I only have one living grandparent now. That's the one who is all about the gender roles. But she will tell me, don't put up with no man's shit. Do you understand me? Don't you put up with no man's shit. Don't do it. You don't have to stay in no shit that you don't want to. And she's giving me advice, even though she was with her husband until he died. She's giving me advice to tell me, you don't have to do this. You don't have to cook, clean, do for a man, and then he turn around and you got to take care of him after he's abused you. You got to take care of him because now he's sick. I say my grandma do it. My aunt does it. My cousin, she was with her. If her husband didn't leave her, she would have still been with him. He left her because she thought, she learned that. That's what she was learned. She saw her mother do it. She saw her mother stay with her abusive ass father and then turn around and he have a stroke and now she got to take care of him and feed him and shit. I would be damned if I had to do that. And just to think that I was in a relationship with a man and now this man has health issues, that could have been me, y'all. I got the fuck up out of there. I'm not doing none of that shit. And I reject all of that. I am not affirmed by allowing a man to lead just because he's a man. No. And that's out of here. We're not doing that shit. This is not the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s, goddammit. It's 2020. And if you want somebody, if you feel like your place in life comes from you allowing a man to lead so you don't have to be single, baby girl, you have to reevaluate your life. You got to reevaluate yourself. There's nothing wrong with partnering with people, but you're not going to allow any person to say, I'm leading you just because I have a penis. It doesn't work like that. And I don't care who's worthy and who's not. It doesn't matter who's worthy because all of these men assume that they should be leaders. I hear the unworthiest men with no equity to their name who will never leave a legacy for anybody, only leaving bills for people. I hear them say the women are single because they won't let us lead. So when you tell a man, oh, he's worthy, no, you're letting all men believe that I'm a man, I should be leading. And that's the reason why our black families are fucked up, because y'all not letting men lead. I'll be damned if I let a motherfucker lead me and at the same time be abusive or feel like because you're giving somebody power, you are submitting your will to an authority of someone else. And you got all of these men believing that that is what's supposed to happen. So you liable to get into a relationship with anybody. And at the end of the day, he believes that, oh, your mouth is too big, you talk too much, you're not pious, you're not meek, you're not docile, you're not soft-spoken. And just like Kimberly Foster said, I'm going to say what the fuck I want to say. I'm going to attract who is for me, and I'm going to repel who isn't. And hopefully I repel the right ones. And hopefully one that needed a repellent doesn't get through. There's no way you can tell somebody just because, no. that doesn't happen like that. I've seen both sides. I have witnessed and been a witness to both sides. I used to always believe like, oh, my bragging about my grandparents, bragging about how long they've been married, but not realizing, goddamn, my grandmother went through some fucking shit to be married to this motherfucking man. And for what? To be left with what? He ended up having to take care of him, changing diapers, carrying him, while my father sat there and watched her do it. Didn't even get up and wouldn't even get up. You the man, you the patriarch, but you don't have enough. You can't handle the emotional side of caring for your father with Alzheimer's. So you leave it up to his wife to carry him from chair to chair, to change his diapers, to pick him up when he's falling. You're the man, though. You're the man. Ain't that some shit? God damn, I done got mad thinking about that shit. That shit used to piss me off. My grandfather, a grown-ass man, an old-ass man, my grandparents in their 80s, and my grandmother trying to carry my grandfather from a chair to the bathroom because he didn't had an accident on himself. And my father sitting there watching her do it. And then later when you ask him, what is it? Why didn't you ever get up and help your mother with your father? I couldn't handle seeing my father like that. But you the fucking man. But you the man. And I'm supposed to depend on you to lead this fucking family? But you can't even take you can't even lift up your father, another man, and take care of him and help. I'm not looking at you niggas to lead. No. Hell motherfucking no. It's not happening like that. I know I was trying to watch Justin's video about this, but because that shit is crazy to me. And it's so many people. I'm trying to think, when does it work? When does it work? Child, please. It don't go like that. Let me finish listening to this
because they stood through all of the bullshit. The woman had to stand through all of this, that. Like, my father was messed up for a minute. My father was messed up for a minute. And my mother sat next to him while he was making bad decisions for himself. Some stuff that his mother doesn't even know. Like, all of these things. And then,
no, and I'm sorry for yelling. I hope I wasn't yelling, but just, I'm just speaking in a passionate voice because I've seen it. And that could have been me. I'm telling you, the man that I had children with has health issues. I could have been that same woman taking care of a nigga who would verbally and physically and mentally abuse me. I'm so glad when I think about that cycle that I broke, I am so proud of myself because I could have been there. I could have been, if I was a woman who thought, you know what, I need to stay in this relationship because I don't want nobody to think I failed in my relationship. Fuck that. I'm not going through this shit. I'm not about to repeat this shit. I'm not going to be in a relationship with a man who isn't treating me the way that I deserve to be treated after being down for him. Right? After showing you that I'm down for you. After being a not ride or die, but being there in your low moments, waiting for you to get your shit together, and you come home and act like a motherfucking donkey. Fuck you, nigga. You're not leading shit, and you'll never get to lead shit. And then 5 or 6 years later, you wind up not being able to being visually impaired. Oh no, nigga, no. That could have been me. I said, oh Lord God, thank you, universe. Thank you that wasn't me, goddammit, because ain't no way in the world. It could have been me. It could have been me staying in a relationship. My father encouraging the relationship, making sure I stayed and waited because you would want somebody to do that for you. My father encouraging me to wait for a nigga who was unworthy, no equity in his motherfucking name, no way to leave a legacy, and you encourage your child to stay with that person, to wait for that person. And then even tell your child that man is going to abuse you. And then reveling in the fact that you were right. I told you he was going to abuse you. You know how many times my father told me that? I told you he was going to abuse you. Like I'm right. I told you I was right. But you also told me to stay with him. You also told me to wait for him. You also told me that, nigga. You understand what I'm saying? And if I listened to him, I would have been there. Dumb. And then that's the same person who, when I wouldn't put his name on the deed of my house, I had that much sense. I wouldn't put his name on the deed of my motherfucking house. He wouldn't do nothing around the house. If I needed something fixed, he told me to call somebody, because since he wasn't the man of the house, because his name wasn't on the house, he said, you're not gonna take my ball. His whole MO was me not taking his balls from him. That was his whole objective. And in that relationship, making sure I didn't take his balls from him. That was his whole, you're not going to take my balls from me. You're not going to make me, I'm not going to do anything around this house because I'm not the man of the house. My name is not on this house. I didn't move to Atlanta to come meet this man and have 2 children. No, I didn't. I moved to Atlanta to buy a home, and I'm buying a home, and your name ain't going on it. That's for goddamn sure, nigga. I don't even fucking know you. And it's crazy because I'm gonna have kids with a nigga. I wouldn't put his name on my house. I had that much sense. I knew, goddamn it. I said, ain't no way in the world you gonna let this nigga. Can you? I just imagine the shit I would have gone through had I put that man's name on my goddamn house, trying to make him feel like a man. If you don't get that shit out of here, no fucking way. Fuck all you niggas who feel like because you have a penis that you have the right to lead somebody. You don't. That's a lie, and nobody is gonna help you support that lie either. And that's all I got to say, y'all. I didn't even finish listening to Justin. I'll listen to it later. Y'all have a wonderful day. Take care of each other and submit to yourself. When you look in the goddamn mirror, that's the only motherfucking person you should submit to, is to the God that is in that mirror. Stop letting these motherfuckers make you believe that you have to allow somebody some kind of dominion over you in order to make them feel like they got some balls. No, we're not doing that no more. And that's out of here. Y'all take care of each other. Peace.